Mark and Paula. We're leaving the bluest lake we've ever seen that has a great story and amazing off-roading. We're heading south through a great scenic drive to Antelope Island State Park, but first we've got to pack up. It's hard to leave such a beautiful place, but it's time for a new adventure. The first part of our drive will take us through Logan Canyon, an incredible, relaxing, scenic drive. Before heading through the canyon, we stopped at Bear Lake Overlook to take one more look at the Caribbean of the Rockies before continuing on. We're on a causeway and I'm expecting to see water. We do eventually see the Great Salt Lake emerge, but we're a little shocked that the water's so low. The island seems a little sparse. We already made our reservations online, so they just had to give us our tags at the ranger station. Now all we need to do is set up the camper. The next day, we headed to the visitor center. A new one is being built on the hill, so this one's temporary. We loaded up with information and decided to explore the island in a day. We'll start at the memorial. It commemorates men who died in a 1992 helicopter crash near the island during a training mission. On October 29, 1992, 4 MH-60G Pave Hawk helicopters departed from Hill Air Force Base. In bad weather, heavy rain, lightning, and low visibility, one of the helicopters crashed into the Great Salt Lake, about 100 yards north of Antelope Island, killing 12 of the 13 on board. 5 Army Rangers and 7 Air Force Special Operations personnel. The pathway is lined with inscribed stones set in concrete, each bearing the name of a fallen service member. And right at the memorial is a marina. It's a little bare right now. Ladyfinger Point is a scenic short hike that's less than a half mile. The last part of the hike requires a little bit of scrambling through some rocks. The view at the end looks at Eggs Island, a major bird rookery. To protect the birds, there's no access there. The Great Salt Lake is much saltier than the ocean, 4 to 10 times. Evaporation in the area can affect the salt content, but despite this, it supports unique life forms. The most notable are brine shrimp, tiny crustaceans that thrive in salty water. These shrimp are a vital part of the lake's ecosystem and are harvested commercially as fish food and aquarium feed. Another key species are brine flies. While they may look like swarms of pests along the shore, they don't bite and play an important role in the food chain, especially for birds. Millions of birds use the Great Salt Lake as a rest stop. The signs tell us that some of the largest concentration of migratory birds have been recorded here. At times, the lake looks like a solid mat of birds. There's also a small amount of walk-in tent sites here. No shade, no fires. These little guys are thick in July and August. They seem to like our truck. Next, we drove by the visitor center that's under construction. A 3D giant screen. That sounds interesting. You don't see this very often. How many beaches are invaded by bison? There's a grill at the beach, but of course we came on the one day it's closed. Not much of a beach right now anyway. They say the salt in the water keeps you from sinking, making it a unique floating experience. But it's a little hard to swim in. Bridger Bay Campground offers 64 campsites with water and electric hookups available in the upper loop. Flush toilets, showers, fire pits, picnic tables, and a dump station are available. The upper loop also features a few furnished cottages with beds, fridge, microwave, air conditioning, and heat. The campground sits along the Great Salt Lake, providing some pretty nice views and great sunsets. And from here you can see the bison and antelope. Some sites are more developed, while others offer a rustic feel. While we were here, the water was cut off due to the construction of the visitor center. Our next stop is Buffalo Point. Like Ladyfinger Point, you get some pretty good views here. Great Salt Lake is a closed basin lake that's completely dependent on precipitation and evaporation to maintain water levels. The graph of this sign shows the lowest water level during 1962, but this is an old chart. While we were at the visitor center, the sign showed water levels that were comparable to 1962, so it's no wonder the lake looks so low. There's a short hike to the top. It looks pretty steep. From Buffalo Point, you can see our campground. We're the only one here. Can you find us? No services here, just a fire pit and shelter. We are all alone. I mean, really, totally alone. Nice view, though. We had some lunch and headed back out. The next stop says park headquarters, but really we're here to see the bison corrals. Depending on the season, the free-roaming bison herd can run between 500 to 700 animals. The island is about 42 square miles. Bison graze on the native grasses and shrubs here. If the herd gets too high, they can damage the habitat, not just for themselves, but also the other wildlife that live here like the pronghorn mule deer and birds. During the fall, the bison are rounded up. They reduce the population to about 550 by auctioning off some of the herd. Not only are they protecting the land from overgrazing, keeping the ecosystem balanced, but they're also maintaining a genetically viable herd. Some of the sold bison are used to train horses. Others, your guess is as good as mine. Helicopters and trucks were once used to round up the bison, but they found the practice to be too stressful on the animals. So now they use horses. Gosh, that sounds fun. I was always a rancher wannabe until I realized I wasn't cut out for that life. Once the animals are here, they give them a week to de-stress, and then they start moving them through the corrals, checking the health of the animals. The Hubs has a degree in zoology and is reminiscing about his earlier days with large animals. When we were at the visitor center, the Hubs asked how the animals get their water since they were surrounded by undrinkable salt water. The ranger told us that there were several springs in the area and that the bison could smell the water miles away.
They still have a squeeze chute. They put their head through there and then they close it to keep them from being able to move around.
From the top of the island, a road called the East Side Ranch Road hugs the east shore. It's paved for about 11 miles, then turns to a dirt road for another 5.5. Antelope Island is the largest island in the Great Salt Lake area. It's a mix of rugged mountains, ridges, rolling grasslands, salt flats, and coastal marshes. We're told that grasses that grow here only green up in late to early summer, depending on rainfall. They're drought tolerant, so they green up quickly after spring rains or snowmelt. But due to the island's arid climate and thin rocky soils, that phase doesn't last long. The road that we're turning on now will take us to hiking trails. We're not doing any hiking. Honestly, it's hard to imagine hiking here. It's hot and desolate. We're just up here for the view. There's a lot of this stuff around here. Didn't pioneers use this to keep a fire going when the wood was scarce? This one looks a little soft. Despite Utah's cold winters, the lake's high salt content usually prevents it from freezing. Did you know that archaeologists have discovered Native American tools and campsites under now dry parts of the lake, presenting evidence of prehistoric shoreline settlements from the time of Lake Bonneville? Next on the map is Frary Interpretive Trail. It's a 1-mile round-trip hike. The Hubs decided to brave this hike. I decided to babysit the truck. There's a slight uphill grade. Along the way, the interpretive signs are placed at past sites of the homestead of George and Alice Frary, who settled here on 180 acres in 1891. They lived here with their large brood of children. Alice died here at age 38. They abandoned their homestead in 1902. The trail reminds people of the harsh, isolating environment that many early settlers sometimes faced. The last of our stops is the Fielding Garr Ranch. The ranch occupies a 6-acre portion of the original ranch. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. You're invited to take a self-guided tour. There are interpretive signs and exhibits that teach you about the significance of the property. The little museum here explains the ranch's origins. It was established in 1848 by Fielding Garr on commission by the LDS Church. It was part of the church's tithing herd program, especially cattle and sheep that were donated as tithes and managed here. The LDS Church ran the ranch until the 1870s. After that, private ranchers took over, notably John Dooley's Island Improvement Company. The ranching operations shifted towards sheep, then back to cattle as markets changed. The original structure was a log cabin, but an adobe ranch house was added in 1848. The house stands on its original foundation, making it the oldest Anglo structure still on its original foundation in Utah. The ranch operated without electricity for over 100 years, from its foundation in 1848 until 1959. Before then, they relied on kerosene lamps, wood stoves, and manual tools for daily life and ranch operations. The electricity was eventually brought in through an underground power line from the mainland across the Great Salt Lake. The large barn used for sheep shearing was pretty interesting. The signs explain the process they used. Would you work for these wages? The area around the ranch is a shady wildlife area noted for good birding. Driving back, we saw the majority of the bison herd. This island's pretty unique. One moment it seems very barren and the next it seems full of life. If you're not doing any hiking or biking, it doesn't take too long to explore. The Hubs wanted to see the lights of Salt Lake, so he ventured one last time to Buffalo Point for some sunset views. When he returned, we tried out those buffalo chips to see if they would actually burn. Yep, they do. The next time you see us, we'll be kicking off our new video series on Moab, Utah. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss an episode.